Welcome to WBC FasterTogether, the LinkedIn Live series of Women Business Collaborative. I'm Gwen Young, the CEO of Women Business Collaborative. WBC is an unprecedented alliance of over 85 organizations and hundreds of business leaders building a movement to achieve equal position, pay, and power for all women in business. Through collaboration, advocacy, action, and accountability, we are mobilizing thousands to create momentum and celebrate the pace of change. So please check the chat to see how we aim to accelerate change and join our movement at wbcollaborative.org. Each week in this series, we offer different ways to advocate change and accelerate impact by presenting data, research, and best practices, by lifting up the power of women's voices for change, and by showcasing leaders and organizations committed to allyship, inclusivity, and driving corporate purpose. So I'm so excited today that we're diving into one of the most urgent and consequential conversations in the business landscape in 2025, why women in business are good for business. So early this year, WBC released our statement reaffirming the business case for women's leadership, backed by data, and we're showing that women-owned businesses generated $3.3 trillion in revenue. And we also have stats that show that when there's 30% of women on executive teams, they're 27% more likely to outperform in terms of innovation revenue. So we're really in a great position where we know that women leading business drives revenue and drives innovation. But we also know, Lynda, right, that gaps remain and women receive only 2% of venture funding, in fact, from all funding. And women hold only 9.2% of CEOs across the Fortune 500 on down. So they earn less on women than average. So basically, we still have challenges. So I'm excited to be joined today by Lynda Bishop, the VP of National Programs for NAWBO Institute for Entrepreneurial Development. Lynda, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you for having me with you. This is so exciting to be part of this conversation with you.
So excited. I'm so glad that we're continuing this. As we started with the statement, you had your big celebratory anniversary for NAWBO. And so, the history of where we've been and where we're coming. And, I want to think about that as you reflect on the past year. What have you seen with, the culture of women in business and the work of entrepreneurs? Obviously what's changed, but how has this shaped the work NAWBO's doing?
Great question. And we did just celebrate our 50th anniversary this year. So 50 years is a huge accomplishment. And in 50 years, you can see a lot of cultural changes. You see a lot of stuff over 50 years. But over this past year, there's been a shift for sure. And what we're really seeing is we've noticed a dual narrative that has kind of risen over this past year. On the one hand, we have this growing recognition of the economic power of women business owners and women-owned businesses. That's great. But on the other hand, in this past year, we've also seen the instability and even the elimination of gender-focused initiatives and a continued gap in access to capital. And those two things together, that tension between those two things makes the work that NAWBO is doing even more critical. The cultural shift that we've really noticed is this one's not so much a shift. This is been true since the beginning of time. Successful women bolster their communities. They give back in their communities. And when a woman is successful, she doesn't hoard it for herself. She shares it and everybody rises. We know this already. And so helping more women be successful it's good for everyone. And so to watch some things being clawed back that have helped us create progress, it's been a challenging year for sure. But that cultural shift really reinforces the importance of resilience, of education, of community, and of advocacy. We can't take our eyes off of those things and then continue to kind of regain some, I'm not sure, regaining lost ground or just creating progress in a new way. We're going to see how that works out in 2026. We're working our way there right now. But yeah, through more educational programs, through embracing technology at NAWBO's level and helping women across the nation also embrace technology to their benefit. We really want to work to ensure that women can thrive, and we're not asking for permission.
I want to pick up on a little that technology piece. There's a couple of pieces, of course. You saw me the one step forward, two steps back kind of argument. And yet we know that women-owned businesses are 39% of the economy. We know the numbers are growing. There's a business case for this. Just talking to Babson about that. But let's talk a little bit about that technology shift. And that's because you and I have been talking about this as well. Not only how it impacts the work NAWBO does, but how it actually creates an opportunity for not just starting a business, but also really being able to do business in a different way. Because we're all going through that shift right now with the rapid acceleration. I mean, think about what we thought 2 years ago about AI and what we think today.
Oh, yes. Yes. And the day of being afraid of AI has to end, because it is here and it is everywhere. And so pretending that it isn't a good idea. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. The dragon is in your front yard. So you have to address it and make friends with it, because nothing protects you better than a dragon. So I'll just tell you, AI has been a really interesting adventure so far too. But I want to link it back to the access to capital for just a moment, because bringing women business owners forward in the AI arena is really important in order to close some of these gaps. We can't have one segment of the business population moving forward really quickly with AI, with another segment not moving as quickly, without that gap widening. And we're trying to shore that up. We're trying to close that gap. And so it's been a really important initiative of NAWBO's to be able to take that AI piece and make it more accessible, make it more understandable, make it more equitable, because women at the beginning were not adopting AI as quickly as our male counterparts in the business world. There's a lot. I have my own opinions about all the reasons for that. And there's many, including the many hats that we all wear. We wear more hats than anybody else too. So adding something new is oftentimes difficult, but making that easier for them, making it more understandable, more digestible, and helping them to find solutions that will help move them forward faster without needing a huge influx of capital to do it. That's where we're really focused on that now. And we actually just added that into our own platform, our own educational platform. We have our own AI bot. Her name is Susan, by the way, for Susan Hager, who started NAWBO 50 years ago. And she pushed women forward 50 years before. Now, bot Susan is here to help with the future. And we have incredible resources inside of our institute, all vetted, all checked, really highly exceptional. They come from our partners. They come from our 50 years. And we house that in our own server so that we know what's in there. We know the information being returned. We know the education that's being provided, and we can vouch for the quality of it, the timeliness of it, the relevance of it, and making sure that women at every stage of business will have access to the resources that they need in the moment that they need it to be able to learn it and move forward quickly.
Love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's using it at NAWBO, encouraging the women-owned business owner to use it. Mm-hmm. And then you talked about sort of creating, in certain cases, maybe different capital needs. And I want to come back to the other big conversation, which is that 2%.
Yeah.
And it depends on how you look at it. It's 2% of venture. It's actually 2% of all funding for women-owned businesses. What are we doing? How are we doing? What do we need to be doing?
Right. That's an important statistic. That 2% is a really important statistic. And when you look at that, and then also look at the fact that women-owned businesses only 2% of women-owned businesses are making more than $1 million a year in annual revenue. Those two things are directly related. If they can't get the funding, they can't scale as quickly. They can't grow as fast. They will be stunted. They will be kept smaller, and the growth pattern is much longer and much riskier because they can't move as fast and they can't grow as fast. So access to capital is holding women-owned business back. And so we are seeing a huge surge of micro businesses. These are the smaller businesses, less than $500,000 a year, a lot of them solopreneurs or one employee. And for them to be able to grow without access to capital, it's not just unfair, it's a terrible economic plan for everyone. So all the way across the board, it is not good for the US economy to stunt women business owners and keep them from being able to grow. So we're doing several things. We have 2 access to capital programs that are actually launching the very first quarter of 2026. And one of them is our Capital Navigator, and the other one is our Capital Confidence. We have brought in funding partners in the creation of these 2 programs so that women will not only understand their finances really well, but they will have all of their ducks in a row. So when it's time for them to go and when they're ready to get capital, they're actually ready, and ready from the standpoint of a funder being able to look at them and say, absolutely, yes, we want to help you. And because that piece of education, that's critical in order to bridge that gap. But all equally critical is finding the funders who are interested in making sure that women businesses progress. And so we have a whole nother side of those 2 programs, and that is partnering with those funders and doing a matching program and making sure that this happens.
Perfect. And then it happens. You start to build the ecosystem of relationships, which is incredibly important. Yes. Right, to keep building that, because this is a part of the economy. Revenues are driving the micro businesses. But the second piece is we've seen layoffs over the years, and we've seen this, due to a whole variety of factors, right? There's been seismic shifts in social, cultural, political, economic. And the interesting thing in the women-owned business space is that, tell us what's happening, right? Women are starting businesses and at different rates and different numbers than pre-COVID. Like, what does this look like from NAWBO and the NAWBO Institute?
Oh, yeah. There is a surge of new businesses being started. And if we look back historically, I love that this is a reflections talk as well as what we're going to do next. That when you look back at, even when COVID happened and there were layoffs and people got sent home and everybody's lives were in upheaval and everybody was doing things differently than they were before. And we all entered that virtual world, whether we meant to or wanted to or not. This was the new world, and this is how things were going to get done. We saw an uptick in women starting businesses then. And then COVID kind of leveled out and companies started saying, okay, it's time for you to come back to work. And again, there was a large number of women who went, I don't think so. And they started chasing that dream again, and they started businesses again. So we saw another uptick then. Well, I can tell you in this last year, we're seeing it again. The layoffs have disproportionately affected women. Well, I will also tell you that the policy changes, just the general economy itself has also disproportionately affected women business owners. But that's not stopping them. And that is, I think, the testament that I really want to bring light to, is that we have seen this happen before. And what generally happens is that the big challenge comes, or the big shift comes, and women get impacted at a greater rate. But we don't go away. We problem solve. We do what we do best, We gather together, we pool our resources, we have each other's backs, and we move each other forward. And that is exactly what's happening again today. That's one of the reasons why NAWBO invested in our AI technology, to make sure that we had the right resources. So as these women are starting their businesses and they're coming in, that we have what they need to not just start a business, but to find that community. Isolation and loneliness is a real problem in business ownership. And so we've got their community for them that's already built and already waiting for them with open arms. We have the technology and the education to help them set their business up foundationally from the beginning to be successful. That's a big difference, because that's what we didn't have, and that most people didn't have, most organizations weren't offering in COVID. COVID took us by surprise, right? So we didn't get to have all of this prepared ahead of time of, let's make sure that they're set up for success from the very beginning. So a lot of people were starting businesses, but pretty much if you talk to any business owner, the first business you start isn't the one that you keep, because that's the one that you learn on, right? And so we're trying to shore that up for them now, so that women starting businesses today have a place to go to get the resources from the comfort of their own computer, wherever that may be, or their phone, or wherever their technology resides, and be able to set their business up foundationally from the beginning to be successful, so that they understand their finances, they understand how to organize things, so that they can ask for funding sooner than what they were able to do before, and get approved because they have it set up right. But you don't know that if you don't know how to do it. So that's what we're seeing, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that these women coming into this marketplace now as a new business owner will have that leg up, and will be able to set up their business for success from the beginning.
Well, and it starts from the beginning of this conversation. Right now, like, women are part of the solution, right? They start their businesses for a variety of reasons, but part of that is to not only have a successful business, but be engaged in the community, give back to the community. So they're driving sort of economic success from the family to the community to broader, which we know and which we see. And we did a lot of work at WBC and sort of entrepreneurs of purpose, right? Saying, here's the reasons you do it, but there's more that you do. There's a give back, whether that's women starting their own businesses, whether it's funding and working with your alma mater, or whether it's building something that's solving a social problem, right? So that's the we are a solution, we fight back, we come back, right? We are drivers of the economy. So many things woven into what you said. And we are coming up on time, and and we always end with this call to action, right? So let's look forward. And what is that call to action? As you said, it has been an interesting year, to say the least, and where the landscape has shifted. Seismic shifts is my latest phrase, right? But women are starting businesses. Women are, performing in business and leading in business. So what is your call to action?
Well, I'll tell you, our call to action, it is simple, but urgent. And that is that it is a commitment to intentional inclusion. And that covers so many things, but everything that we do comes back to intentional inclusion of women. That means investing in women-owned businesses, not as a charity, but as a smart economic strategy. And so investing in their education, investing in their communities, investing in programs, and inviting all of the voices together into that advocacy space. We have reimagined our whole advocacy effort in this past year as well. I'm sure that's not a huge surprise. Everything has been different for this past year. And we have also doubled down on our advocacy, but changed the way that we have done that as well. So it's not just us going to Washington, D.C. It's us working with our 50 chapters across the nation to make sure that micro businesses and small business voices are heard at the community level, at the state level, where decisions are being made there too. Because we've got to start in our communities where we are right now with the resources that we have, and help each other move forward. So that is that intentional inclusion in everything that we do.
Love that. It's the intentional inclusion. This is good business. Women in business are good business wherever they sit. We need good business for communities.
Yes.
So we really need to be looking forward into making that happen and being intentionally inclusive. And I look forward to 2026 because as we've worked both from how to aggregate resources, show the best practices, send women-owned business to the right places, we've worked across our almost 20 groups within the WBC that focus on women entrepreneurs to align that advocacy to make it heard everywhere that it needs to be heard, from investing into supporting and encouraging women to start their own business, use AI, and continue to build that ecosystem. So Lynda, thank you so much for today, for the partnership that we do every day.
Thank you for the work of the WBC. The Women's Business Collaborative does such important work. We will get there together, and we will not get there alone. We will get there together. And thank you for everything that the WBC is doing.
Thank you. As we say, we are faster together. And thank you to the audience. So please have a wonderful Thursday, but join us next week as we're closing out 2026. And also follow us on wbcollaborative.org on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, where we're talking about the latest trends for women in business, from sports to veterans to women-owned businesses. Those are two important groups, actually, that are founding and creating businesses. And that's a really interesting space to be as a sort of second career, if you will. So thank you all. Lynda, thank you. Have a wonderful Thursday and happy winter officially.
Happy winter.